April 21st, 2026 is the date. Weekly Manga Recap is the show. Quinn and Nick are the hosts, and you are the audience.
Yeah.
These are the facts. I don't know where to go from here.
Okay, so this is like when they used to play Where in the World is Carmen San Diego, how you couldn't win unless you had the warrant, the criminal, and the loot, I believe it was. You needed to get all three.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, so we gave you the information. The warrant in this case would be Manga. The location, of course, will be Naruto Land. And the criminal is us. Because we are going to mercilessly recap this week's worth of manga with knives.
Yeah, I think I had a Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. It was a Where in the U.S. is Carmen San Diego board game. And if I remember correctly, the final challenge of the game was just abundantly unfair. You basically just had to like randomly guess and see if like the location you picked had the stuff on it. And if you didn't, you're just like, well, sucks to suck. Play again. And that was it.
That sounded vaguely familiar. I might have also owned this awful game. Were there like discs that you had to like flip over?
Yeah.
I can recall this specifically.
Put them on like key locations throughout the U.S.
Yeah.
So
I remember this specifically only because my sister was playing it with my uncle, and my older sister would like to cheat by trying to lift the tile up slightly, and if it was the one she wanted to use, she would put it back down. And like we were like, whatever, so be it. My uncle was not having it. He's like, no, you picked up that tile and you look, that's your tile. And I was like, all right, I guess Uncle Mike's real strict about this sort of stuff. So
I feel like I would be the same way. That's going to be one of my shortcomings when my nieces get a little bit older, is I'm just going to be like too much of a hard ass for playing games with them. It's like, no.
It's not
follow the rules same as I have to.
Yeah, that's not in the rule book, so you don't get to just do it, okay? I don't care if it shoots and ladders, you get scared by the snakes. You go all the way down now that you hit that snake.
That's right. You have to start over from nothing.
Can you please at some point play your nieces and nephews in Mario Party? You just like break their spirits a little bit.
I'm sorry, kids. I found another star. The game wants me to win.
I'm sorry for you that it was another button mashing game, but I'm much better at it than you are.
They've actually like played Super Smash Brothers before. Like they don't know how to play it properly. It's just that like, they like having certain characters that they get to, control and run around and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we have so many manga to talk about.
We do have a lot of manga to talk about.
Not of which because we have 3 new series in the recap this week.
Thing. Yeah.
So plenty of stuff to talk about. But maybe board games will come back up again later. Just keep your ears tuned for when that happens.
It'll be the secret word or whatever. Ichi the Witch, 79th Hunt. How are you doing?
How you doing? Yeah, this is it's weird. Last time they were like, this is Minakata. Actually, this week he's like, this is my friend Joey Tribbiani from Friends, the sitcom. He adds a lot of clarifying details because
the first spinoff didn't work out, so
yeah, he's trying it again. We're thinking Joey the spinoff didn't work, but that's because it was the wrong medium. Everyone knows Joey Tribbiani will work best solo in a manga adaptation, so that's where
20 years after the end of Friends.
That's why he has to explain at the beginning, this is Joey Tribbiani from Friends. It's a sitcom, just because most of the people listening to reading this are like Gen Z or younger, and they're like, I don't know what a Joey Tribbiani is or whatever. So please explain that.
Ichi introduces everybody to Minakata, who of course was his mentor. And Ichi brings up, remember I told you guys about him during the Hisame Magic Hunt? And I do like how, as we see like the rest of his team in the background, There's just a question mark next to him. It's a good detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally even do like a little dance together. Like, like Minakata has Ichi in his arms. He's kind of like swinging him around. And for a little bit, it looks like Minakata's just going to be like, okay, he's just kind of like stoic and quiet. So he's just going to be a little bit of a stiff. But then Minakata, very graciously says, like, it's an honor to meet you all. I made this dried longsword fish for you. And then he says, I've taught Ichi everything that he knows about mountain survival, and the time that we spent together, I consider myself his mentor. And Destroyerz hears that, and she's like, oh, I see. So you were Ichi's mentor way, way back in the past. Well, I am his current new mentor. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am the one who made him good after the condition you left him in.
Yeah.
And goes over all that, and the Minakata just very quietly is like, well, you came after me, so you're his number 2 mentor.
They're both children, it's very amusing because like when Destroyerz starts like getting upset that he calls himself Ichi's mentor, you're like, oh, Destroyerz, this is so unbecoming of you. Like you're the uber badass until these moments show up and you suddenly look like the fool. And then when he's like, I guess that makes you my number 2 mentor, you're like, okay, so Ichi has just been raised by idiots basically.
Yes. And Ichi meanwhile is just like, they're getting along great. No idea.
Mom and Dad literally can't fight. They can't ever have an issue.
Jun comes in and it's like, oh, to think that someone that Ichi shows it was such a great debt to is in my organization. He introduces himself to Ichi. Monogold tries to intervene and be like, no, you can't recruit. But Jun just says, have you ever seen this woman? And gives Ichi a photograph of this long black-haired woman. And
well, this is manga, Nick. It may not be black hair. That might be like fuchsia for all we know.
Yeah, you're correct. It could be crimson or whatever. It could be spangled or whatever that color is called. I don't know. But the other magic keeper who is with Jun, whose name we learn is Zairo. Love that name. It's so crazy.
It's a great name to say. It's an interesting group. Zairo, Jun, and Minakata.
Yes.
Yeah. So, it's fun theming.
And so Zairo explains that this woman is number 1310 on the wanted list. She's been wanted for years, is a violent criminal and witch. And I also like how he says, this is serious, so I'll explain this in part instead of our leaders.
He's an idiot. He'll never get to the point, so...
He wears a kind of dumb hat,
Yeah, he'll never... This big dumb hat's going to soak up all the air that he's speaking. You're not going to be able to hear anything. It's going to be a big problem.
That's right. But he says, we've uncovered certain information about this witch, and we know for certain she has a connection within the Mantanel Witches Association. And Monocle says, like, so you're saying that there's literally a traitor in our association. And Zairo confirms this and says, we also know that you allowed an intruder into your inner floors recently. And Destroyerz realizes, like, oh, that's Hitsugi, which, he kind of had, like, a big advantage going for him in order to get there. So Zairo says, we would like to request an immediate search of the facilities and for you to provide us with a list of every member of the association. And Monocle is immediately like, no, we are not going to do that. That is a tremendous violation of privacy. So instead, Zairo turns to Ichi and says, all right, well, you only joined the association recently, so therefore, we know you're not the insider. Like, you wouldn't have been here long enough for you to be the spy, basically. But if you come across any information, how about, you pass it to us? You would be helping out your mentor, Minakata. And Ichi says, okay, well, if you find the witch, are you going to capture her? And Zairo says, yes, we would. And we're going to, try and incapacitate her when we arrest her. And Jun, master negotiator, says, no, we're going to kill that bitch. We are going to kill her. It don't matter. If she were a tiny baby, we would kill her.
And then after we kill her, I'm going to carve out her skull and I'm going to wear her head like a hat on top of this hat. Because, I mean, we can't lose the trademark stupid hat. So just got to fit it on top.
And she says, look, she would kill us, so we are going to do the same to her. Her name is Fujimine, the Vanquisher Witch. And at that moment, we cut over to Fujimine, the Vanquisher Witch, who is having a dinner of sorts with the World Hater magic.
She's having tea and donuts, as you do.
And I think only she is eating, so...
Yeah, probably.
Also, instead of the World Hater magic, she calls him Haiti, which is a good idea. So she tries to call him Haiti, and immediately the World Hater magic is like, don't fucking do it. Don't do that, no. She recaps like, oh yeah, you've lost like 2 of your 7 stars in one go. The 5 stars doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
Not at all. There's no alliteration there at all.
Apparently, she is here like on her own behalf. Like she just showed up, and World Hater is like, "Why are you here?" And she says, "Oh, I just wanted to chat." And as she says that, a little butterfly floats down onto her fingertip. And she says, "Yeah, I thought you might be all sad, so I decided I would come and cheer you up because, you know, right now you've got some problems." And she starts tearing the butterfly's wings off. And she lays out the butterfly and into 3 segments, each of which represents one of the World Hater's problems, which are Mirasam, the prophecy magic, Madoka, the human magic hybrid that has just been born, and Ichi the Witch. And so she says, who do you want me to kill first? And she kind of like starts going eeny, meeny, miny, mo between them, and is like, come on, which one do you want me to kill the most? And World Hater doesn't say anything, but Fujimine says, your eyes don't lie. She picks up one of the butterfly wings and she says, it's Ichi the Witch. Me too. And then she starts chomping into the butterfly wing to end the chapter.
It'd be great if the World Hater magic didn't have anything to say, but at the end he's like, I bought all these donuts and you're just going to eat a butterfly? Like, you know, I didn't know what kind of donuts
I didn't want you to come here, but I am a gracious host, if nothing else.
I am the World Hater magic, but I am not a bad host. They will say a lot of things. He hates the world. He destroys everything he comes across. He is a very respectful host. That is always included in there.
Absolutely.
I am curious because, truth be told, the World Hater magic needs sort of a reinvigoration because we are introduced to this concept of the 7 stars in the same arc that 2 of them were taken out completely. So it doesn't look like a particularly good organization when 2 members are gone right off the bat. So I'm kind of curious where our direction is intending to go, because I kind of feel like the bad guys need a little bit of a win, and it's tough to say if this girl is, I mean, she's obviously not a good person, but I don't know. I also don't know if like necessarily the World Hater magic wants to be aligned with her, because presumably she has magics under her control as well. So this might just be like a, you know, temporary alliance because we both want Ichi dead and she has her own reasons for wanting that.
Yeah. 3 thoughts. 1, maybe we'll start to get like a couple of like Xanatos style things like from Gargoyles where like the villain is defeated, but the villain also gets the thing that they actually want from the whole conflict at the end of it. You know, maybe over the course of this conflict, maybe they'll, you know, the World Hater will get a replacement for one of those 2 spots that is opened up without actually really losing anything because it's just going to be associated with Fujimine showing up. Secondly, with the way that Ichi confronted Jun and Zaero about what they were planning to do with Fujimine, maybe it's going to be a case of like, you know, she's not going to just be someone for them to just defeat if that's already being, you know, seeded at this point. Thirdly, I can fix her. I can do it. I just need to talk to her, and I know that I can show her the bright side of things, and
Like, I'm gonna take her out to a nice dinner. We're gonna play Mario Party. I'll even let her win a little bit. Yeah, she's gonna understand.
Not too much, though.
There, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna put my foot on the gas a little bit. I'm just not gonna put it to the floor. Yeah, I'm gonna do whatever I can to show her there's more to life than just eating butterflies, because that's primarily the only thing we really know about her right now.
Yeah, she's killing bugs. Who cares? So
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, but we will have to see what happens next time. In the meantime, Blue Box chapter.
Yes, it's
239, Ally.
Yes, this is a big Haruto and Shuji chapter. As Shuji is watching Haruto's match against Taiki. Taiki has won the first set, and so Hyodo comes over to Yusa as he is watching the match and says, like, yeah, Haruto's losing. And, asks, like, hey, are you here to do, like, recon? Are you cheering on your brother? And then he comments, like, hey, look, Haruto can't afford to lose here. He went through all this trouble. He enrolled at AMA just so he could beat you. And Yusa brings up, no, he could have done that if he had just stayed at Sachikawa too. Because he doesn't quite get it. And Hyodo lays it out in terms of there is a difference between beating you and getting strong enough to beat you. The latter is what he was aiming for. And he needed a different motivator to accomplish that. And Shuji doesn't quite understand that point. And then from his perspective, we go into a flashback to when he and Haruto were kids, and they first joined a badminton club. And right away, it was clear that Shuji was very talented in it. Haruto seemingly was a lot more enthusiastic about it. And as they were introduced to stuff, first there was this slightly older kid who was able to beat Shuji, but gave him a lot of encouragement and so was like, hey, you can get better. Your smashes were really good. And Haruto saw all this and was just like, oh, I can get better too, and was motivated by that. But very shortly, in a montage, we see Shuji just got better than this older kid and just beat him pretty damn quickly. But importantly, we also see he's having a lot of fun. He's really enjoying playing badminton, and he gets invited to like join the older kids in the club. He kind of gets like put in a separate group from Haruto because of that. And over time, however, a lot of people start to go like, Shuji's just like way too good. Like it's not really fun to play with him, and us playing against him is not really much practice for him. And there is a funny moment where Haruto hears all this happening and then goes up to Shuji and is like, you got left out. You didn't get invited to play with everyone. But they do get a little bit more serious from that point because Haruto's like, don't you feel, does it bother you? And Shuji says, no, well, like practice is about getting better. So that's, a good thing that I'm like getting better. But Haruto realizes like, you're all like, lonely though. And Shuji's like, yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, I guess. So Haruto said, I'll play against you in their place then. And of course, couldn't really keep up. He wasn't very good. So Shuji just kept on beating him. It is fun to watch a little kid just beating a racket around really madly, going darn it, a whole lot. And in Shuji's narration, he says, all I need is badminton. It's fun being able to beat opponents that I couldn't beat before. It's fun landing smashes. It's fun being able to hit shots that I would have missed before. The stronger I get, the more fun badminton is. Everything about it is fun. But then it got to a point where no one on the team could match him. And people just started like getting to the point where they were like, I don't want to fucking play against him. He's just too good. And everyone kind of assumed that he felt the same way. Like, no one was even remotely a match. To the point where even when Shuji went up to people and was like, hey, do you guys want to play against me? And everyone was like, no. Like, guys, he clearly wants to play with you. You're just making excuses. But of course, Haruto came up, running up at this point. And was like, you said that you would play with me. Come on. And he promised to, get rid of the smug look on his face and stuff. And then Shuji is able to say in the present, Haruto is my greatest opponent. It didn't look like he was having much fun, though. He always had this grim look on his face. Even so, I could tell he wanted to get stronger. And finally, we come out of the flashback. Haruto is trying to keep up with Taiki. He manages to get this crazy return, like, running backwards and hitting it behind him back towards the net. And Hyodo says to Shuji, you can never know what someone else is thinking. But Shuji says, even back then, Haruto was an ally who helped me grow stronger. And it seems that Haruto managed to get a point on Taiki, so it looks like he's trying to make his comeback now in their match.
Yeah. He's also your brother, dude. He seems to have forgotten that. He's like, yes, he's an ally who's helped me go stronger. Also, we grew up together, I guess. Also, he's known me his entire life.
Obviously, Shuji's story began when he first stepped onto a badminton court. That was when he was born, Quinn.
He has no memories before that point, yeah.
Right. He was put online at that stage.
I just like that Shuji seems to not really process things in his world unless they are directly related to badminton. Everything else is kind of just about badminton relevant, and then if he looks at something, if he looks at a dog, he's like, I can't play badminton with that, and he just blurs it out of his vision from then onwards. Until he watches the Air Bud movie where they play badminton.
What would they call that?
Shuttle dog.
Close enough, I guess. Yeah. On the one hand, I'm glad that we're getting finally a little bit more characterization for Shuji, given that it's, well over 200 chapters since he was introduced. But on the other hand, this is kind of really sort of what you expect from him still. I don't think that there are any really more facets of him that we've really learned from this. It's just kind of confirming that he is kind of a robot in a couple of ways, which is not a problem with him being that way. And I'm glad that we do see it explored from a more sympathetic angle of oh, people don't get this kid,
I was going to say, I do appreciate that we can see that there is a part of him that is, I don't want to say bothered, because that might be too strong of a word, but there is a moment of him being I still want to play with you guys, even if you're below my, he's still asking people who he considers below his level to play with him, and is getting turned down from that. So I do appreciate that there's this level that there is not necessarily elitism in Shuji, but there is definitely a focus track on just badminton and nothing else. So I think he is going to be an interesting antagonist for Taiki, whose story has been revolving around somebody who is interested in badminton, who has learned to expand his world beyond that, versus somebody who honestly seems like he has shrunk in over time. Again, he doesn't refer to Haruto as his brother here. He's just yes, my ally who helped me get stronger at badminton. You're all right, we went to Grandpa's funeral together, but whatever, I guess.
And it is kind of nice to see that Taiki has been set up as a very direct, or Shuji is being set up directly as opposite in scope and focus from Taiki. But Haruto, who is Taiki's current opponent, is very much caught between what direction he should be heading in.
Yeah.
Which I think is going to probably be in the end, what causes him to not quite beat Taiki at this stage. As we've talked about in the last couple of weeks, all the framing devices are surrounding Haruto, which means that he's probably going to be the one who loses this match. And then we'll presumably get Taiki versus Shuji, the very long awaited big rematch between them. So it'll be interesting to see what we get to go in that, and also all the other stuff that isn't related to Batman once we come out of this match, which I'm sure we're going to get more of soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been talking about one thing that's blue. It's time to talk about two things that are blue. The two blue Vortex.
Boruto 2 Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die, Chapter 33, Shattering Futures.
Sarada looks like
get a jacket that fits. Just get one.
She looks like one of those looks maxing YouTubers that I keep having to see pictures of recently with like the overly chiseled face. I was like, you don't normally have this much definition. Are you injecting something in there, Sarada?
There's a weird filter on her, yes.
Yeah.
So Sarada doesn't get to do anything in this chapter because she's fucking unconscious.
She's unconscious. Enjoy this title page. It's the only time she'll be awake this entire chapter.
Her eye is bleeding because of the backfiring of running out of chakra while trying to use the black hole thing from the Sharingan. Kawaki's also out of gas when Himawari runs over to her. Mirai tries to check in on Sarada's condition, and Boruto is checking on her. And he says, I don't think she's in serious condition, but I'm worried about the Mangekyo's damage to her vision. Makes sense. Her eye just exploded. Himawari runs over, and she's the white mage of the group because she can use Kurama's chakra that way. So she immediately heals all the damage to Sarada's blood vessels, we're told, and says, but I don't know if that'll do anything to help with her vision. Okay.
Now, does she not have the Byakugan? Like, isn't that whole thing is about like chi and knowing it's like pressure points and everything like that?
Yeah, but that doesn't help you with anatomy. Come on.
Okay. Fair enough.
That would just make sense. Come on. So all the Mawashis are going, blah. So Damon is standing off against them, and then the Mawashis go, blah. And Inojin's like, oh no, we're going to be wiped out. And he turns to Kashin Koji and says, what do we do now? What happens next? And Kashin Koji goes, 4 days ago. That's the last time that Prescience showed me any possible futures. Based on that intel, I imported mind transmission information to you. I haven't had any updates since then. Jin's like, what are you talking about? Oh, you see, Prescience's precognitions come to me at random times. You see, even though I have this future sight power that gives us incredibly valuable information that lets you bullshit your way to advancing through techniques and me to know possible futures that I can use to just completely change the way the events unfold as we uncover perfect strategies. I can't just see the future wherever I want. That would be ridiculous. That would be a limitation. There's limitations to every ability. I swear. There's limitations to this.
But I know it's weird that I've had all these limitations and I've never brought them up until now. But you have to understand, I like being a dramatic asshole. I wanted you to get to this exact point. And you know what? It's because it's the only way to make sure this future exists. You can't stop me. You don't know. So fuck you. I'm right about everything. I'm just gonna sit in my fucking chair, never emoting in any single way as I explain my stupid power to you over and over.
It feels like I can see a flailing going on as I read this explanation of someone going, maybe this power is too insanely powerful, and I need to let the readers know, no. There can still be dramatic tension in the story. I swear. Look, there's limitations.
Guys, when Araki realized, oh, hey, Purple Rain's too strong, he just wrote Fugo out of the story. If you got a dude who's too strong, you're like, oh,
just kill him.
He got sick. What are you going to do?
He decided that he wanted to leave and
go
home.
He realized he didn't like being a clone that could see the future, so he's out.
I mean, the stuff with Ada that we have gotten, at least when all her powers and stuff were introduced, she was a bad guy that they thought they had to take down. And then all the limitations came in when she joined the party, and then they couldn't have the broken boss on their team anymore. But this guy's just always been an ally. See, what happened is that you got the free trial, but now in order to have the premium character for the rest of the game, you got to pay the monthly fee for each campaign that comes out.
He was really, really strong when they wanted you to buy his season pass, but now that they bought it, they can nerf him a little bit.
Fucking Marvel Snap, I swear to God. Mamushi is doing bad, and Kashin Koji says, for some unknown reason, Mamushi attacked days earlier than expected. Okay. Amato hears all this because they're just saying this over the open line from the transmission jutsu network that Inojin has set up. And Amato's like, huh, is such a thing possible? Why do you doubt anything? You brought a robot made out of your daughter to life. What is wrong with anyone in this series that has doubts about anything being possible? God. The moon's a monster!
We're regularly fighting aliens. Like, what's going... Like, stop trying to act like there's, like, a reality we have to follow the rules of. There's an acid dimension out there, Nick.
Inojin's like, so you mean that we're just, like, acting blind out right now? And Kashin Koji says, I believe I told you that to know the future leads to the act of destroying it. Fuck you! The Daemon's fighting a bunch of the Mamushis, and Ada is just out in the open, scared, because there are bodies surrounding her and there are corpses piling up as Daemon's killing them all. One of them goes, Gar! And then Daemon grabs his head and explodes a bunch of their heads because Daemon's really strong and cool. And then he's eventually like, I'm starting to get tired. Okay. Mitsuki fights one clone. And then...
See, guys, he was there. He's an important character in this part. It's.
Remember how Boruto's like his son or whatever and stuff? Yeah, he's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that kind of son. The other son.
The other son.
The big burning son.
The U son. Yeah.
Yeah. Boruto contacts Shikamaru and is like, "Hey, what do we do?" So Kashin Koji keeps on yapping for a while.
He's got a lot to say.
He just says, like, doesn't Mamushi feel weak to you? And Ada and Himawari are still alive. All in all, I interpret such to be entirely thanks to you having your new jutsu. So you're fucking welcome for that. Stop acting like I didn't do you any fucking favors.
I love, because again, if he got even remotely, like, animated in this way, I would almost enjoy him more. But this motherfucker he just sits dead still in his chair. It's like, I actually believe that this is all planned. It is all thanks to my, great thinking. It's like, move. Or, like, what happened to you? Do you need to sit entirely still? Or he's like, I'm trying to hold in a poop. If I move, I don't think I'm going to
succeed. Take your hood off. Like, stop Oramaxing, as the kids say. Inojin says, new jutsu, big whooping deal. What use is mind transmission formation under these? And then he has epiphany. And Amato is meanwhile like thinking of possible ideas and stuff. And then he's like, wait a minute. Maybe they share visual or auditory information with each other. Or maybe while each Mamushi can think independently, there is a single collective consciousness governing the entire swarm. Remember, he was theorizing about that in the previous chapter, that there might be a hive mind for the Mamushis. Kashin Koji says some more bullshit. He says intel is really important. And so he says a bunch of bullshit, but then he says, it now appears I have no need to relay to you based on your expression. And Inojin's like, I know what I have to do. And Kashin Koji says, there are a few futures where you reach the same conclusion, so use it to shatter those futures. Okay? Daemon gets away from a bunch of Mamushis. He's trying to carry Ada to safety. But they're literally at the point where there's so many that they're like piling up and are going to crush them. Boruto tries to fight a few of them off. The mind transmission formation cuts out, and Inojin uses one of Kashin Koji's summoning circle things to reverse summon him to bamf onto the battlefield. And runs by Himawari and says, hey, sorry in advance for this. Take care of me after. And then he calls out to Shigadai, hey, capture one of the Mamushis for me with the shadow paralysis stuff. So he does that, catches a Mamushi, and then Inojin uses the mind transfer jutsu and poofs into the Mamushi's mind. So Inojin's body collapses. He has control of one Mamushi, and then all the other Mamushis go, gah! And they freeze and stop. So then
Don't worry, Nick. There's only 10 more pages of non-stop dialogue, basically.
They talk about the most obvious thing, which is like, oh, he's only possessing one of them, but all of them are under his control. Maybe there's a hive mind. Like, we get it. We get it. You set up that there might be a hive mind by having one of the characters turn to the fucking camera one chapter ago and say, maybe there is a hive mind. So Inojin remembers that they have to kill the Mamushis by destroying both eyes. So while in control of one of the Mamushis, he looks up at Damon and goes, Damon! And thinks really hard, I'm going to destroy your eyes. And then the Mamushi's eyes explode. And then Inojin's eyes explode. And then all the other Mamushi's eyes explode. And they start to fall over. So Himawari very quickly goes down and uses her chakra Healy stuff to try and heal Inojin's eyes. And all the Mamushi start to disintegrate because, yes, that's how they beat the unstoppable horde, was they had one of them look at the Mirror Force guy and go, I'm going to get your eyes. And then all of them exploded at once. Even though all the other times that they've attacked Damon have only affected those ones that, he took control of the whole hive mind. Whatever. So, to verify that Mamushi is dead, one of them turns into a thorn bulb and Boruto grabs it. And Kawaki is like, hey, what are you going to do with that? And Boruto says, it'd be a shame to let it rot away, wouldn't it? Why are you guys acting this way? Your friends are hurt!
There's two people who may not have eyes anymore. We don't know.
But speaking of eyes, Quinn, on Bug's chakra tree, a code claw mark is there, and his eye sticks out of it.
Thank goodness. I've been wondering, where's Code? We haven't seen him since he got his arm cut off and then ran away. When is he going to show back up? The answer is right on time, right when we need him. I don't hate the conclusion of this chapter. I actually kind of like that Inojin's the reason they win this encounter. Him taking control of essentially a hive mind once they've duplicated to such a point where there's not enough of like a mental resistance in one of them to stop him from taking over the whole collective is like kind of cool. Like it's an interesting way to work those powers together. And I like that there is like a heroic sacrifice in being like, I know that I'm also going to get my eyes blasted out too when this happens. Unfortunately, Naruto has progressed to the point where, there's essentially like senzu beans. There is no like dramatic tension anymore. There is always a ninja who could just like kind of hover their hands around them and be like, you're fine. So I don't expect there to be any actual...
This qualifies as medicine in this world.
Yeah. I don't expect there to be any long-term consequences to that, but I do like that this was a series that allowed like a smaller character to get like a moment of spotlight. I don't know if the expectation is like this will mean a whole lot, since again, like this whole arc has felt kind of weird where they're like, yes, you the ability to have individuals on like a private connection mindjutsu channel. And I'm like, you guys just invented this? Don't you have radios already? Like, what do you mean? But I like that we're at least giving focus to somebody out there, especially since I've watched Boruto be cool, quote unquote, and win a fight like 30 times now in this series. I don't need to see it again. So I'm glad there was a different resolution there. That said, it's Boruto. It's still not great. Half the chapter was Kashin Koji just trying to explain why he can't just tell everyone the answer actually this time. And look, it's not as good of an answer as, Jin's side effect from World Trigger or anything like that. It's just a bad answer. He's just like, I can't. It doesn't work that way.
Yes, I agree that there are some things that are actually okay about the way that this went down on paper. But in execution, it was lame and anticlimactic.
Yes.
So
that's the other thing, is the series does not know how to make anything it does ever look cool. Like it's always
you just exploded the heads of 2,000 people at once, and you didn't make that look cool.
Yeah, it's like it's half a page panel, and also I love how all these dudes had their eyes exploded and they're dead. Like I don't know, they're super ninja aliens, but all of them are like, oh, no eyes, split. Like they're all just done.
All right, Quinn, we've got a new series to talk about that debuted this week. Class 2B Hero Destroyerz. With Chapter 1, First Period, Demon King plus Demon King equals a beginning. Quinn, very shortly after the School Life series that featured a Demon Lord was canceled, another one started up.
There must always be one in Jump. Now, I don't know if you were there when the Covenant was written, Nick, but there must always be one evil demon lord in school. Beelzebub carried that mantle for a little bit, and now
Always one there must be.
yeah, and now it's a Class 2B Hero Destroyerz, because it is with a Z. Yes, you got to make sure you pronounce it.
You can tell that I didn't grow up in a religious household, Quinn, because every single time that I hear the word covenant, I just think of the Halo covenant. Like I know factually that the covenant means, other things.
Yeah. It could also just mean like those weird four-mouthed guys. One of them was Keith David, I think.
The Sangheili.
Sangheili, yes. Yeah.
That's right. I know more about Halo lore than I know about the Bible.
Honestly, I wish I was you. It always annoys me to be like, I know what transubstantiation is, but I don't know the names of those big tough aliens that you had. Rhinos? Was that their name?
Which ones? There's so many big tough aliens.
Oh, man.
There's the blue armored one, which are called hunters. Then there's the gorilla-like ones, which are called brutes.
I think it was the brutes.
Okay. Which they didn't show up until the second game. Anyway. The premise of this series is that there is, another world, a fantasy world, where the Demon Lord was defeated by the hero. But fortunately, the Demon King had split off part of their conscious self into an heir, Valaris III, who escaped into our world through a toilet. Get used to there being a lot of toilet jokes, at least in this chapter. I am assuming in this whole series. It feels like it is baked into the series DNA to have scatological humor. There is a lot of toilet and poop jokes.
Now, look, this is by the same mangaka who did Gintama, and I've never really read Gintama. I don't know if there were that many poop jokes in that series as well, but there is a lot here. So
there's a lot in this one.
That also explains, I think, why this new chapter is long as hell.
It's very long. It's 70 pages. Valaris, so she's part of the school. She's the Demon King, but she is addressed as a woman multiple times throughout this. So she is hanging out in class when a new student transfers in named Akira Kumon. Valaris has a throne in the back of the class, and I think that this is my favorite part of the chapter is this stretch where they're just getting to know each other. She's got a throne that only Akira can see because he apparently is the only one who can see through her illusions. And she keeps on trying to be like, aren't you impressed by my true form, my amazing powers, the Demon Lord? And Akira's like, can you stop talking? Class is starting. I'm trying to focus on the lesson. She's also got this ridiculous chest protector with huge shoulder pads thing.
Very, very 80s anime character. Gotta have the giant shoulder pads.
So he extrapolates from that's her entire culture. He just makes assumptions that this is very important to her, so it must be awkward because she has to sidestep through all the doorways and stuff. And he's like, by the way, if you try and impale someone on your shoulder pads, which I know is a ritual thing for you over there, but you can't do that here. So it's very silly. Mm-hmm. Over the course of the next several pages, she's trying to, because she's a loser, that's just the joke. She's a loser. Demon Lord is trying to impress Akira. But she keeps on getting the shit knocked out of her by tripping, getting volleyballs beamed into her face. She's very, very weak because she just doesn't have all of her demonic power. And she has this little familiar that's following her around that confirms as much that basically in RPG terms, she is level 1. And they even observe it's kind of fucked up that I have to deal with leveling up hero terms when I'm supposed to be the Demon Lord and stuff. But she has heard recently that there is supposed to be another Demon King of some kind arriving at the school. She has heard tales of this gangster who is very, very violent and always gets into fights in the bathroom. He is known as Demon King Commode. And she has a picture of him, which looks very demonic. And of course, it turns out that Akira is actually Demon King Commode. but he looks entirely different from the picture of him. Not just in terms of like, oh, his hairstyle is different, he has different facial hair. No, like his bone structure is different, and they comment on this and even say like the art style is different for him and everything. Akira gets into a confrontation with some of the local bullies at the school, and so Valaris is very interested in what's going to happen there because maybe his secret demonic side will come out. Akira keeps on trying to play it cool by trying to recite all of these Brady facts, which are just wrong because he's kind of stupid, but he thinks that he's acting smart. Until he tries to do a cool thing where he's like, when a new Shonen Jump manga looks for a jobber to take a beating in chapter 1, 9 times out of 10 they pick random punks, and he does this like bicycle kick at a bottle, which doesn't hit any of the punks. It just hits Valaris again. I really liked that joke. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get away from all of that and so the bullies are chasing after both of them. They escape into the bathroom, and then Akira starts to have a tummy ache, and he says, "The beast is still there. The dark creature slumbering deep in my gut wakes. I can feel it starting to writhe and growl. So if you excuse me, I gotta go let the dark beast out real quick." And he just goes into the toilet because he's talking about he needs to take a really big shit. That's the dark beast inside of him. So everyone's just like, oh, he's like doing like weird edgelord stuff about taking a shit. Okay.
All right.
But turns out that the toilet that he goes to take a dump on is actually the toilet that Valaris came out of at the beginning of the chapter when she first came into the human world. So it's the portal into her home dimension where the rift is, and monsters start to come out of it. Goblins. So a bunch of the punks run away when a goblin comes out and it grabs at the lead bully. Valaris is like, oh, my minions are here. And the goblins at first bow to her, but then one of them sneak attacks her from the stall and stabs her with a spear. And they say, yeah, we need you so we can offer you up to the hero so he'll spare our lives. And they all start to gang up on her and are stabbing her over and over again with their spears. One of them looks like he's going to go after the lead bully, but then the toilet stall door gets kicked off, and there is Akira. And Akira says, all I've ever wanted was to be able to take a dump in peace. And it turns out all those times, Quinn, that he got in fights in the bathrooms, he just wanted to take a shit. But all the bullies hang out there to smoke, and so they kept on getting in his way, so he couldn't take a dump in peace. So he starts wrecking face, beating up goblins, smashing them in toilet stalls and stuff, and is very, very, very scary and everything. Turns out Valaris also is totally fine. She used her illusions to make it seem like she got stabbed by the goblins over and over again, but she just says, you're a cowardly evil who will betray your rightful master to turn to the side of good. You can't stand against true, pure evil. Which she knows all about, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, after she impales everybody on her shoulder pads.
Well, yeah. She doesn't have much of a choice in that. Akira beats up a big orc who comes through by like smashing a bucket on its head, hitting it with like custodial equipment and stuff like that. And then he just grabs Valaris by the ankle and swings her like an axe so that her shoulder spike stabs into the orc and kills him, which he gets upset about because it breaks off of her shoulder pad things. And we don't really like have a note that like we're really left on. Just that, like, well, these two have met. That's just kind of it.
Like, just wait until next time. Nick, prior to starting up recording, I was sitting in here, and I heard Professor Peanuts at the door that I kind of used to keep him from coming into the recording area while I'm here. And I was like, well, it's still early, and I'm also trying to, like, implement, keeping him in here a little bit more, just get him, used to it. So I opened the door for Professor Peanuts to come in. And immediately upon the door opening, he starts running through all the rooms of my house to make sure there's no intruders that are in there while he's not in there. Right. And I'm like, oh, it smells like you farted before he did that. Like like to make sure he got through the rooms as quickly as possible, he let out like a really stinky fart. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate, but I'm going to go sit down at my desk. That cat, the first thing he did as soon as I sat down was leapt onto my lap and fart again. And I immediately was like, all right, just get out of here. It took less time than 70 pages to get through that. And I just want to know, it took me 3 separate attempts to read this chapter. Not like, oh, it's so hard, oh, it's so dense. It's just one of these things that I'm like, I get it, but like, I also have existed at a point in time where I've seen Gintama jokes very frequently. I've seen people like, reference the anime and the manga, and I've never seen anything that's really like made me want to read it. So I'm kind of just worried that maybe I just don't vibe with this kind of style of humor as much. I am going to try to give it open mind, but I do hope that the next 2 chapters are just a little less dialogue. Like, this felt like reading a chapter of Boruto at a point where I'm just like, does every panel need to have like 7 long dialogue boxes in it? Like, it's rough.
I do think that of the comedy series that we have gotten recently, this feels like the smoothest, honestly. Like, you can tell that there is a lot of experience behind this in terms of the way it was paced out. But the type of humor does not always land for me. I feel like this is something where it could very well turn into a decently successful series, and and I felt that way even before I realized that it was Hideaki Sorachi who had done this. It's not something that I'm really excited about, but to get a comedy manga with this kind of premise, and just to have every now and again a little chuckle while I'm reading the chapter, it's so much better than I was expecting from it. So I don't know if this is something that I'll be very interested in, but it was okay to go through this.
Yeah. Didn't hate it. But we have another new series to talk about that is Drawn to the Fire. This is chapter 2.
To talk about now for basketball.
Sparks flying. It was a couple pages.
Yeah.
In.
Yes. Last time Keiki and Akane got to know each other, they played some basketball together. We opened this chapter with a flashback to Keiki and Hana hanging out when they were younger. Keiki being upset because the coach was mad at him for passing the ball too aggressively, basically, and Hana being like, "Oh, is that all? I can catch your passes." And so Keiki's like, "Well, yeah, but why can you do that?" And she says, "Well, it's like making eye contact with someone even when you aren't. I just know that I get this feeling like my body is all electrified, and I think, oh, he's going to pass it here. I see the sparks flying." And she says, like, "I'm confident you'll run into someone who can see those sparks." And of course, Keiki has met Natsu. They had the basketball game together in the previous chapter. So in this one, he has decided that he is going to actually join up and go for basketball again. He says he's quitting. And we have a little bit of time of he and Natsu hanging out in class a bit with Keiki's non-basketball friends. There's some jokes about how much food the Natsu eats. And Keiki reiterates how talented he is because he is, was the big MVP in middle school nationals. Then we see that there was a video that was posted of their scrimmage game of Akane being at this nameless high school and how it's gone viral online. And there's a whole bunch of people who are commenting on it and being like, "Oh man, I can't believe this guy went to this nothing school." We are introduced to the basketball club's vice president, Jiro Uba. And Keiki's worried about how, I have joined this team, but we got no players. There's only 6 of us total. We can't even do 5-on-5 practices. So he's really worried about that, even though he's like, "Oh man, I don't know how we're going to make it to nationals." And one of the other players is like, "Oh, you want to go to nationals?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm going to make it seem like I'm really getting ahead of myself." And they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So they're very supportive and carefree about everything is the point.
Yeah. We
get a bit of Hana, which I am glad to see that we don't have to just only see her in flashback form. We learned, is a very different kind of girl. She's not all over social media and stuff because she's like, "I just prefer playing basketball." But one of her friends has the video of Akane which of course means that also Keiki is there, and so she's really excited about that. And so she says like, "Hey, don't give up. Let's keep our promise together." We go back over to Keiki and Akane's practice. It's really, really difficult. Keiki's actually having a hard time keeping up, and he's like, "Man, these guys have like got tons and tons of stamina. It's crazy." And Sakishima, the president of the basketball club, says, "Yeah, we actually like copied our regimen from a really, really elite school. So even though they don't have a lot of players, they're very serious about it. And in fact, it seems as though because they were really serious about their practice, they don't have a lot of players because they're not very good, and so a lot of people are not willing to actually go through really, really rough practices, and that's why they're shorthanded like this."
Makes sense.
They do a bit of 3-on-3 scrimmages, and Keiki is struggling to make his passes, and he starts to get really worried because he's like, "Oh man, I've got to like not screw up my passes." And he's like, "I promise I'll try and get more in sync with you guys." And he starts to get really self-conscious because he thinks, I had those thoughts that like, oh, we've got too many hurdles to clear, but it feels like the one who's got too many hurdles is just me. Things went well because I was playing with Natsu yesterday, but I got to get on the same page with all my other teammates and stuff. I don't know if I can do that. And he starts to, have, flashbacks to when things went really poorly for him in middle school. And Akane immediately realizes what's going on, grabs him by the shoulder, and it's like, "Hey, what is your job?" And he's like, "I'm the small forward. I'm the ace. I got to score in the paint and on the perimeter." And Keiki's like, "Okay, yeah. Also, why are you immediately calling yourself the ace? That's weird." And so then Akane says, "What about you? You're the point guard. What is your job?" And he's like, "Well, I got to move the ball and I got to make accurate passes." And he says, No, that's not enough. You have to direct your teammates. You're the game master. Think of the point guard as the command tower. You need to move your allies in coordination with your orders. So why are you talking about syncing yourself up to others without giving them any directions?"
I mean, it is good advice for it to be like, you should talk to your teammates and like try to coordinate with them instead of just passing the ball to a spot you hope they'll be in.
Exactly. Don't just like, oh, make your passes easier to get. He's like, no, you've got to like get them to work with you instead of taking it all on yourself. And Keiki admits that he's made a lot of mistakes in the past, and he thinks about how, people gotten upset with him before. And it kind of is like, look, how can any of your teammates trust you to call a play that you think is a mistake? Be more confident. Even if you're uncomfortable, trick yourself into thinking you're a prodigy. Even if you're wrong, convince your allies you were right. Even if it's a mistake, as long as your team can trust you, whatever you do will become the correct call for the team. You're good at lying to yourself, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Which, I really like this speech. This like little exchange between Natsu and Keiki got me a lot more on board this series, just all on its own. It feels like this was a big moment to establish like the philosophy of like what this player is. So good stuff. So they try it out. Keiki just waves at one of the other players down to like get him in better position, and then he does this smooth as hell behind the back pass that sets him up for an easy layup, and everyone's like, "Hey, nice pass, you managed to connect with someone other than Natsu." And Keiki immediately after is like, "It actually worked." He's the most surprised out of everyone. Little joke, but he acknowledges like, "Hey, something does feel like it's changed. Hey, maybe with Akane and Natsu, maybe with the upperclassmen here, maybe I can make it to make my promise with Hana." And everyone gets in a circle, and they're like, "Hey, we got a chance to do this. Let's make the most of this. Let's go to nationals. Hooray!"
Yep. I think it is good to have this chapter be a space to give sort of a restatement of the goal, to show that the entire team is in unison about this ideal, and it's not just, hey, this one guy made a promise to like his childhood best friend that he would meet her in the nationals, and we all have to do it because he really wants to see her. Like
just him, yeah.
Everyone wants to go and everyone wants to be there, and also, although we I'm sure are going to get new players, basketball is a sport in which you need to have backups. It's one of those things, so it's good for us to see like, oh hey, the existing team, depending on however long this series runs, are characters who we could throw out there. Are they the most interesting? No, not necessarily yet. But we have at least introduced them and we can expand upon them. I do think, sadly, the series needs to strike gold with another character soon. It needs to kind of hit in a way. Like, there needs to be like another cool basketball person to think about. Just because it's going to take time, presumably, to actually get this team to a point where they're playing like exciting games. So the only exciting thing to really do so far is like recruit more exciting basketball players. So I kind of hope the next chapter deals with that to at least some degree.
Yeah. Or like at least introduces a character that the girls think is really hot. Like that's just that feels like it's what's going to be the key to this series.
They have a character come in who's like, I can tell people's futures, just boys' futures, by kissing them on the lips. And everyone's like, finally, this makes sense.
And like one person's like, why do we want to know our futures?
Yeah, y'all ever notice that he just kind of kisses us and then doesn't tell us our future afterwards? Like, he just kind of leaves after he's done. Did anyone have a question about that? They're like, no, I enjoyed the affection. I'm just touch-starved, I guess.
Hima-Ten, Chapter 87.
More like Hima 87, Nick.
Half a month left, which is how long it feels like we've got Hima-Ten left sometimes, certainly. Iamori last chapter had the revelation of like, wait a minute, I feel love for Yoshino. That's why I'm always thinking about her. That's why I prioritize her so much in my life. I feel a level of affection for her. And he has this realization while Himari is like kneeling on the ground with him in front of him, and is like, oh no, the cute girl I've just realized that I have affection for is looking really cute right in front of me.
Oh no.
And then he's like, does this mean that everything I did as her house cleaner was because I feel affection for Yoshino? Then how much love do I have for her? So, of course, he doesn't say any of this to Himari, because why would he? And he immediately starts going into denial. And then Himari is like, wait, so you gave me a month's notice because being my house cleaner was more to you than just a job? So, yeah. Then she's like, is it because you like care about your work? Is it because you like house cleaning? Or is it because I'm your client? And, well, that leaves Iamori at a bit of a loss for a second, as he thinks to himself, like, look, this is Yoshino, famous high school girl boss. Her dedication to her work is cool, which is why I respect her. And she was a client who really needed me. So he's like, yes, it was because it was you that I cared so much about it. And I don't know why I'm telling you this right before I'm quitting, but it's because I was house cleaning for you that this turned into something more than a job for me. Anyway, I gotta go home now.
Goodbye.
Just leave her with that. Okay. So Himari starts talking to poor little Maro, who's got no idea what's going on and why his neck hurts so much, and says, you know, when school started, I saw Iamori working so hard, and I thought I could go for it too. And then Kana told me it was okay to shoot my shot. But after she told me she got rejected, I gave up. But what if I still have a chance? It's not absolutely impossible. So what am I supposed to do now? Which, yeah, I kind of get that. Like, if you have convinced yourself, like, okay, it's not happening, you can start coming to like terms with it. But then it's like, oh, but there is a chance. And well, then like, what do you do now that you have the hope again? Iamori narrates, it's 2 more weeks until he quits being Yoshino's house cleaner. I'm awful. Just talk to each other, you fucking weirdos.
This is the worst part about being a teenager right here. I forgot this page.
Yep. I wanted to get closure and then quit being Yoshino's house cleaner. I even decided to confess my feelings to Kanai, who I've been crushing on since middle school. So why is it only now that I'm... And then he thinks about Himari's butt. And that one time he came in on her when she was changing. And then he says, right, I've only realized it now. Because she was my client and I had the key to her home, I couldn't see her as a girl. So now you're thinking about her butt because now you see her as a girl.
There's something so reductive to that line of thinking. Also, if this series is ending, why that gratuitous of a shot? Who is this for? Like, this isn't normally like the MO of this series. So it's one of those ones where like it's like a jump scare turning the page and be like, oh, what am I reading?
Normally we have the excuse that he's Kana's fan, and that's why he doesn't objectify her. Anyway, we got to play the what's her name?
Look, the Himono tax.
Himono.
There is no Himino tax anymore. This character hasn't shown up in like 4 months, except in like a flashback to be like, "You kids should talk about your problems," and then they don't.
Don't be silly. So, she gives stuff to Kanai and Iamori to do as, like class reps. And then she notes to one of the other teachers, like, Iamori seems like he's really low energy today. They're like, yeah, he's usually smiling when he does his class rep duties. So she realizes something.
What a nerd.
Anyway, whatever. He goes off with Honoka. He's acting kind of glum. Honoka asks what's going on. But then when he turns all startled to her, she's like, you don't have to talk about it. I was just worried. So I just wanted to ask. And Iamori apologized for being in a bad mood. And Honoka thinks about the class trip coming up and how it's 2 weeks from now. And so, deadlines approaching. Himari's also thinking about stuff in class. Honoka comes up to her to talk, and they have stuff to talk about. And then Iamori just says, I spent my last 2 weeks taking it day by day. Anyway, it's time for the study session with Honoka. So now he's got to decide what to do, because he's like, I've realized I have feelings for Yoshino, and that hasn't changed the crush that I have on Kanai. When I'm with Yoshino, it feels like I'm with a friend, and then Iamori greets him because it's study session time. But then only Kanai makes my heart race the moment I see her. So they've all met up, but Honoka says, hey, before our study session, what do you think about going on a date first? A little breather would be nice. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my gosh, things are happening.
Yeah. I like her earrings and I like her fuzzy purse.
Yeah.
I don't have too many other thoughts about this chapter. I think it's good that Iamori has finally realized he has feelings for Yoshino and he is processing them. We don't expect this to be an entirely clean process because he's still like 17 years old, 16 years old. He doesn't necessarily know everything that's going on. But I do love how decisively it put a real, like, as if there was any shot, but a real final nail in the Kana coffin where he's just like, oh, I didn't have these feelings for Kana at all. There was no issue turning her down.
Oh boy. Kinato's Magic, Chapter 12, Dark Clouds. Kinato channeled magic into himself, which we were told was very dangerous. But he managed to hit the beastly guy. He's very, very hurt. Beastly guy just gets back up and is like, man, you hit me really hard. I'm going to take you. And he's like, I'm going to capture you because it would be a waste to use you as a sacrifice. He starts to unleash his bandaged up sword thingies. And he says, I'm going to release my magic now, so don't run away and don't die on me too soon. And so everyone's warning Kinato to run away. But Kinato's like, no, I'm going to defeat this guy here and now. And then Jien comes out of nowhere and kicks the guy in the face and says, playtime's over, puppy. And there's a kaboom after he does that.
An earth-shattering kaboom?
Well, it shattered the building they're in, I guess. Yeah. So Jien has shown up, and the captain of the their rival group has also shown up. He wears a mask. And a portal opens up from that, council meeting that Jien was in, along with this guy, Raid, and says, hey, make sure you find your own way home, because we're introduced to a new character, Ajim, or Ajim. Let's call him Ajim. So Ajim says that he's like, we'll do what needs to be done on our end. You get a little lowdown on him, which seems maybe not like time invested wisely, but
we had to explain why when this character shows up in the last chapter, you know who he is.
Raid does not talk. We learned that he communicates via a notepad. And he shares. We get a flashback to show him sharing with the Council of 12 Lamia's sight from something, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he really wants to get to the point." And so, and then he also communicates to GN that his crew is in trouble, and so that's how they knew that they needed to come here. So the Beast guy is like, "Oh man, captains are on a whole different level, even among gold-ranked adventurers." And GN says, like, "Hey, look, Talius is a passionate, devoted guy. Jura is really shy, but she always has the guts to face an enemy head on.
Sure.
Kinato is ridiculously kind. Anyone can tell by looking at them that they tried their damnedest to protect this town. But are you ready for me?" And he starts summoning these like black, dark clouds, like the chapter title, that have spikes in them and stuff. So he starts firing spikes at the guy, and then the other evil guys grab him and start to pull him into like a portal monster mouth thing to run the fuck away. But then Raid comes in. He's got a Yu-Gi-Oh monster to attack with. So they keep on going after this guy, and they're like, "We'll settle this someday. Let's destroy each other as many times as it takes." And Kinato says, "I'll stop you with my magic as many times as it takes." And then his magic on himself fades and he collapses, and GN catches him and says, "Hey, good job."
Yeah, I mean, bravo to Skull Mask guy, who has been elevated from random antagonist to the series' final antagonist for Kinato when the series ends in like a month. It's fine. I after seeing the newest rankings, I think it's clear this series is in trouble, and I wouldn't be shocked if it's already been kind of given the like,
get going,
wrap it up,
Yeah.
like start winding things down. It's not particularly good. I think it's very funny. He's like, and Juna, despite her shyness, is the guts to face the enemy. I was like, has she done a single thing this entire arc? I don't even like, at least the other guy got like a moment where he had like a big speech and shot a bow and teleport. I was like, I don't recall her really doing anything. And
remember all those characters we were introduced to like 5 chapters ago that seemed cool?
I don't want to harp on it too much because things could always change, but I do feel like the magic of Kanato's magic has very much dwindled, and we're just left with Kinato, who's actually not that interesting. If this were Linnea's magic, I might still have something going on, but it's Kanato's magic, and
yeah. Maybe
he's not doing so hot.
Maybe the author's next series will just be an all Linnaea series.
We brought her back. Normally, people don't make spin-offs of Act series.
Canceled in 20 chapters.
But this time, they knew they had something.
All right, Roku's House of Oddities, Chapter 3, The Great King Johan, Death of the Lord of Lies. So the big premise of this chapter is that, Roku's got to, go and tell his landlord, who is his grandmother, about all the people that are, staying in the house with him now. He's not going to actually tell any of them that, they're ghosts, basically. And we get, kind of a little bit of a catch up, like, hey, just to establish again, like, Gavaden is a dog. Ultra is a doll who just like sits on the couch, and then there is Kabaneji, who is very helpful even though he looks really creepy and stuff.
Does he look really creepy? I still don't really get the joke with this guy. He looks like he wears a mask with a yin yang on it, and I guess that's inherently creepy. Whereas I, as a child of the 90s, am like, oh, this is the coolest dude ever. Obviously, the only way he could be cooler is if he had like a lightning bolt mask or something like that. Like I don't know what he could improve upon it on.
Or a yin yang that has like a lightning bolt that is like bisecting the black from the white. Yeah,
the good stuff.
So anyway, Roku and Johan are going on a hospital visit to go and see his grandmother to, bring it all up. Johan is just representing all the other 5. And so Roku flat out is like, you might be wondering why Johan, the supremely arrogant asshole, is coming with me on this. Well, 3 of them look really scary. And then one of them is very bad talking to people. Johan's only flaw by comparison is just that he's snooty. So that's why we settled on him. So
Fair enough.
That makes sense. Sure. Yes.
Because that dog's too big, Nick.
He's too big. But of course Roku is worried. And then as they're going by, he's like, Johan, he's like a freaking vampire king. And then he's like, how are you in daylight? How are you out in the sun? And Johan's like, oh, the weather is quite lovely. He's like, you're a vampire. Doesn't sunlight hurt vampires? And Johan says, the sun is among my subjects. And he's just that arrogant that it doesn't affect him, apparently. I also love the follow-up to, like, what if, like, a garlic or whatever, and Johan just looks at him like, this is a great expression that he makes. Like, what the
This is the stupidest thing you ever could have suggested.
So they get to the hospital. They make an appointment so that they can go in to see Roku's grandmother. Roku goes off to stop at checking at the desk and everything. As by the time he gets back, Johan is swarmed by women. He is immediately extremely popular among all of them. They all think that he's hot. Insects think he's hot. There is a little kid who is going into surgery, and so they go up to Johan and say, I'm really scared. Can you teach me how to be brave? And Johan says, bravery is not a momentary burst of spirit. It is a way of life. You have battled against a vile malady at too tender an age. Because of that, I have no doubt your frail vessel already contains an enormous amount of courage. And he inspires everyone, and they start like rampaging around the place because they're like, they feel courageous from his big speech. And then Roku just looks around like, we're just here to see my grandma. What's going on? So this is probably the best chapter of the series thus far, in my opinion. It's just like kind of now that we have the premise, we actually have like situations for the weird cast to get into, basically. For some reason, one of the head doctors at the hospital sees Johan as a challenge to his reign. He's not even like the lead doctor. It's established that he is one of the candidates to be the next director of the hospital. I don't know. But Johan just immediately defeats the guy by just being around. And so that's just
cooler.
Like,
yeah.
All right. They end up going to see Roku's grandmother. So she's like, all right, who is this? And so Johan introduces himself. So Roku's grandmother's only question is like, hey, are you having fun? And Roku is like, I wouldn't really use that word, but I guess I just don't know how much fun yet it's going to be. But in the days ahead, I'm looking forward to getting to know them all better. And so she's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was fine with it from the start. Yeah, sure. If that's what you want to do, sure.
Yeah, whatever.
And then she says to Johan, hey, look out for my grandson. And Johan bows to her and says, I swear to you I shall. And Roku gets a bit of insight of like, hey, this guy is like really full of himself. He's really audacious, but he does not hesitate to bow to grandma on bended knee. And seeing that, I can't help but wonder if maybe I've been misjudging him this whole time. And on their way back, Johan's like, can you cross the street without aid? He was just like immediately talking down to him and stuff. So
I like the joke that he shows pictures to the mom, and one of the dog is very clearly photoshopped because you can see how distorted everything around it. Yeah. It's that's amusing. Beyond that, though, this is chapter 3 of a new series, and we have to decide whether or not we want to keep it in the magazine. And I don't know if I need to see more adventures in this House of Oddities, Nick.
It doesn't really spark joy for me, Quinn.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything like in particular that is wrong with it. It just doesn't connect to me.
I think the dog should be bigger. I'll be honest. They do a lot of like this dog's so big jokes, but I'm like, it could fit in the house. Like Clifford couldn't do that. That was a big dog. Sorry, Japan, that your big dog is actually just kind of large. We had a real big dog in our house, unless he was made by the British, in which case we're co-opting it, because Clifford feels like an American dog.
Hang on a second.
He's Clifford. So big. Why would he not be an American dog?
That is a good point.
He's also rude. Yeah, like he's just like a big rude dog. I don't actually know that much about Clifford.
Do you remember the name of the girl that owns him?
Madeline.
No, that was a different book series.
Damn.
Emily Elizabeth. That's right. She had 2 first names. He is an American children's book.
Okay, see?
Yeah.
An American book, all right? Clifford no diffs the dog from that. It's not even close, all right? Hey, what? I don't know if Screw Attack still exists, but if they do, get him on that death battle.
Anyway, so Quinn, somewhere out there right now hurts. Someone hurts. Chapter number 30, perfect attendance.
It's not Nick, is it?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So we get a little color page of Mizuo and Mimei. It's kind of cute as they're running around. So Mimei and Mizuo are at a radio exercise thing in like a public park, and Mizuo's rhythm is totally off. Oh no! It's
kind of crazy to think about. This is only chapter 30. I feel like this is like the 6th color page this series has gotten. I know it's super successful.
It's doing well.
But good Lord, it is wild. I've been like, oh wow, another really good use of colors in this another color page in 30 chapters. Good for them.
Yeah. We get a little flashback that explains that the prior night, the prompt was, the radio exercise program in our region is kind of weird. Do we want to do prompts for this one, Quinn?
Oh my gosh, I completely missed that there was a prompt in there. I've
got one.
Go for it. Yeah, let me see. Maybe something will come to me.
The radio exercise program in our region is kind of weird. Joe Rogan does research before he talks about stuff.
That's a good one. And distinctly American. So I'm kind of, in my mind, I'm kind of forming a team of American heroes. And right now, it's Joe Rogan and Clifford the Big Red
This
Dog.
is immediately the boys. It's not the Justice League anymore. We started off so strong. The biggest, reddest dog is going to be on our team. Yeah, absolutely. That's American as hell. Joe Rogan. Oh, I don't know.
And America's 19th best stand-up comedian. Maybe. It depends. I have to think about it for a little bit.
Joe Rogan, famously known as a stand-up comedian and nothing else.
I love it. That dude was a stand-up comedian for, I mean, I think he's still considered a stand-up comedian. But he was solidly, that was his profession for 20 years. No one ever brings it up. I've never heard a single person quote a Joe Rogan stand-up special in my life. He is like the antithesis of a stand-up comedian when he's actually performing.
I just think of him as, like a TV host and stuff, and an MMA fighter and all. He just does a bunch of stupid things. So.
Oh yeah, very dumb things. When Fear Factor was his prestige television,
right?
You're in a bad spot.
Comedy specials. And he did have several years of comedy specials.
Fair enough. I think I watched one of them at some point. It was I'm bored on Netflix. I'll try watching it, and I just remember being like, oh, yeah, I knew Joe Rogan sucked. This special blew.
Anyway, so Mizuo has tickets to the local event that Monmid is going to be doing, and she got 2 tickets so the 2 of them can come together. And the prompt that they're hoping will get read is this one, this radio exercise one. So Mimei says, I haven't actually done radio exercises in years. And Mizuo's like, I could give it I guess I want to give it a shot too. And so Mimei's like, yeah, people in my neighborhood, they have sessions in the park during summer break, so we could meet in the park tomorrow morning at 6:30. You have to be there at 6:30 to take part in it. It's like, oh God, it's these kids on summer vacation have to go to this? Oh.
It's painful to think about.
So, yeah, Mizuo is fully off rhythm. Little kids are fucking making fun of her for being off rhythm. Which is the most painful part of the whole thing.
I didn't know this could happen. Children can make fun of you for that?
But they also get a stamp card for taking part in the radio exercise, and if they go the whole week all the way through, then they get like some little prizes out of it. So it's additional motivation for Mizuho to keep on waking up really early to come to all this. There is a weird moment where some kids are like missing with the radio, and then Mizuho is like, "Oh, I have a radio," and so she's placed in charge of it, which means that she has to wake up, extra early in order to get there and be in charge of the radio. People are now like relying on her and stuff. But things keep on going. Mime falls out of sync. The kids make fun of him. And Mime says, "Yeah, I'm out of sync on purpose," which might be the single most vulnerable moment that he has had in this series, where he has to pretend he fucked up to literal 7-year-olds so they won't make fun of him.
I gotta save face in front of these elementary school children.
Just, if they keep on making fun of you, just put them on a high shelf and then walk away. Like, that's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, we just kind of like get several scenes of them like showing up. At one point, Mizuho's friends from school also show up, and Mizuho is getting more and more into it as time goes by. She's getting more and more used to it. Her rhythm is syncing up more, and eventually she's correcting the little kids for being off rhythm. Aww. And so they get through 6 days of the week. And at the end, Mizuho says, "Oh man, when I get all these stamps, I feel like my radio exercise routine will finally be complete." And she's like, "It kind of stinks that tomorrow's the last day." And she's like, "Maybe we should skip sleeping tonight." And he's like, "That's not going to stop tomorrow from being the last day." But Mime goes home. And he's tired at night. And he's like, "Man, the fact that I'm waking up at like 6 o'clock every day means that I'm like, really tired at night." So he's like, "I gotta like write my joke mail now while I'm up, so I get a chance to submit it in time." And then he has a dream. Of course, we don't know for sure that it is a dream until later, but he's in school, so big hint there. It is summer break, and Mizuho is acting like really normal towards him, which is how he realizes something is wrong. But when he wakes up, it's already 7:45. It's already over an hour past the start time for the radio exercises. So, he gets on his bike and he rushes to the park, and he's even like thinking to himself, like, I mean, it was probably already well over by the time I even woke up. There was no point in me coming here. But Mizuho is still at the park, and she waited for him the whole time.
Aww.
It was very sweet. Also, she was like texting him and trying to call him and stuff, and he wasn't answering. So, Mizuho completed the stamp card, which means that she has a fucking ton of snacks.
It's one of those things where, like, doesn't this kind of undo the point of doing all that exercise if you're going to give her this many snacks as a prize?
It's not like apples. Like, there are so many processed foods there. But there is a nice bit where, like, they do the radio exercises together, just the two of them in the park, have a moment where they kind of like end up breathing together. And then Mizuho says to me, like, "Hey, where's your stamp card?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't bring it." And she's like, "You were a day away from perfect attendance. Hey, stick out your hand." And so he holds out his hand, palm up, and she, taps her finger on it and is like, "Hey, good job." So she like gave him her stamp instead. It's a very sweet little moment.
Yeah, it's very, very cute. I like these sort of chapters. It is very amusing. The series is so successful at this point, it could really just take its time doing anything. But it is very funny. We have not really like advanced any level of the plot in a while. It's all just been like, I don't know, they go on like they have a little fun little date or something. I don't know. It's very cute. You'll love it. And it's great. They're right every time.
Yeah. I mean, this is like what people come to the series for, is like, cute slice of life moments between these two. So.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Not so slice of lifey is Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Quinn. Chapter 89, Going Under. Kiyoshi has beaten up Bobo a whole bunch, to the point that Bobo has to call on lots of lives in order to power up and stuff. So Bobo tries to blast Kiyoshi point blank, but Kiyoshi dodges it, punches him in the side, and he realizes like Kiyoshi, and we get, I believe, narration, whatever. Someone says that Kiyoshi Hirai's crest exorcisms fall into two main categories: his offensive left arm with its Moonrise Kingdom, his defensive right arm with its Little Miss Sunshine. But now the crest on his chest has lit up, suddenly turning him into a walking weapon. So, yeah, like at this point, Bobo's like, Shishido was no problem for me, but this guy is in just a whole other class to himself. So he's like, all right, fine. I'm calling in 300 deaths all at once to triple my power. So this brings him down to like what, like 590 or something like that. But he's triply powerful now. But he notes the burden on my body from doubling my strength is nothing compared to tripling it. So he's like, just hang on. I got to hang on to my strength. I'll put Kiyoshi's body on display. And he does start to turn the tide again. He manages to headbutt Kiyoshi in the face at really rapid speed. And then he says, in the demon realm and human world alike, the strong will survive, the weak will die. And I don't know what to call this move, Quinn, but he like running claw slams Kiyoshi into the ground.
He does like the Arlong Park move where he just like slams Kiyoshi through like a tower, basically.
So Shuten, Sosuke, and Shishido are trying to make their way to the fight scene. Shishido warns like, hey, because Sosuke's like, if we're all out of priesthood power, so what are we even gonna do? And Shishido says, look, is using exorcisms what makes someone an exorcist? You ought to know full well yourself. So basically, we got a job to do even if we're out of power at this point. They come across the side of the battle just as Kiyoshi crashes into it. He reaches the bottom floor right in front of them, essentially. Bobo comes down, posing for no reason, of course. And he's like, ha, it's the losers who couldn't even die. Stay out of this. Which privately he's like, I'm alone with Hirai. Go away.
Yeah, please. Come on, get out of here. You're embarrassing me in front of my rival.
Shuten is like, hey, Kiyoshi, why is the crest on your chest shining? Isn't that? And Sosuke's like, isn't that the power that busted your preset pass? And Kiyoshi's like, it's okay. I've got way more control than I did last time. And Sosuke starts to warn him about, the stores of powers that Bobo has access to. And Kiyoshi's like, yeah, I know. He told me all about it with diagrams. Like, he just explained everything.
He gave me all that info. He gave me notes, actually. I had a binder.
So Kiyoshi says, if I could just exercise him 100 times, but Shishido says that won't be necessary. Think about how much he's powered up. It's putting a pretty big strain on him. If he tries to go any farther, there is no way he'll be able to handle it. And so Bobo's like, shut the fuck up, don't tell them. Basically, Shishido says, like, if you defeat him as he is now, it doesn't matter how many stores of demonic power he has. This is the limit of his strengthening. If you can overcome it, you can beat him. So Kiyoshi takes a deep breath as we kind of cut around to like all the other people who aren't there, who have, helped him out to this point. Mr. Yamada, Hydrico, everybody. And Kiyoshi says, leave it to me, as he puts on his jacket or rolls up his sleeve or something. It seemed like he was already in this state of dress before, but he does it again. Whatever. So big surges of aura and energy going towards each other. We get a cross counter page across two pages, which is really cool, which then devolves into like a bunch of other flashes of the fight. It's neat. Then Kiyoshi summons like this energy bow from like his forearm.
That's pretty cool.
It's cool. He shoots an arrow that manages to go through like Bobo's side. They exchange blasts, but Kiyoshi seems to be stronger, I think. I think the other one does hit him, though. Finally, he crosses his arms, which manages to pin Bobo in place, stops him from moving as Kiyoshi rushes in and uses his Lux Omega Stella, where he crosses his arms in front of each other and then just like fires like a blast punch thing directly into Bobo's chest. And that is where we end the chapter with what looks like a big decisive blow.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because there was a hint from, I want to say it was last week's chapter, that suggested that Kiyoshi knows a bit more about, is he Bobo?
Bobo
Yeah.
is the son that he's fighting.
Yeah, he knows a bit more about Bobo than perhaps we are led to believe at this point. It seems like Bub told him some stuff. And I've been kind of waiting for that to come up, but I imagine that's just going to be the conclusion of this. It seems like Kiyoshi has committed himself to, like, I am taking this guy through his whole fight because at the end of it, I need to get through to him in some way. And maybe that's where we're going to go next week. If this is the last chapter of the actual fight, this was, like, a really cool fight, and I'm actually down for it. Like, if this is what Kiyoshi big battles are like, then I am A-okay with it going forward. The Astaroth thing maybe was just too long, with too many unnecessary added pieces and stuff like that. If it's just
not
like
enough
this,
humor, yeah.
If it's just like this with a little bit of humor and then some like badass action moments, I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yeah, what a rehabilitative effect this entire arc has had on our enjoyment of this series.
100%, it really has. All right, it is Marriagetoxin time now, Nick.
Yeah, chapter 161 with a big old 2-page color spread for the anniversary of the series. Also, the anime launched a couple of weeks ago, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, I watched the first episode. Brennan and I have to catch up on the rest of it, but it's nice to be like, oh yeah, that's how this series started. Wild.
Yeah.
Garo used to be such a dork.
Used to be. He used to be a much less graceful dork, yes. I guess we'll say.
He's picked up a little bit.
The fight between Garo and Toniko is going on. Garo's got his like coat and equipment and stuff, but he's still barefoot, which makes me feel a little bit weird about certain things. Like this shot in the first page is like, put some socks on, dude. Toniko
noticed that before. Gross.
Toniko thinks to herself, as long as you don't agree to be my mate, your scions will, in time, ultimately bring calamity to the Beast Clan, so I shall nip this threat in the bud here and now. Garo has all of his tricks and stuff, including Smokescreen Puffy-kun, so he just sprays out a smokescreen really quick, and he's like, all right, I'm going to just strike from their blind spot, because otherwise I'm just going to keep on getting these lightning arrows and shit shot at me. But Toniko's wolf just like flexes and electricity bursts all the smokescreen away in an instant, and then she fires another lightning arrow at him. Fortunately, Garo has a trick with pure water to use as an insulator, which he manages to use to deflect the lightning arrow. So it's like, all right, good. But then Toniko chuckles a bit, shoots another lightning arrow, and this one does shock him as he tries to deflect it. It's just a way higher voltage this time, so the distilled water does not do enough to insulate him from the attack. So Garo's like, I can't do anything unless I disperse the lightning. So what do I do? Should I use like a large volume of water for that? But then he shoots that theory down because Ushio is the only one who can actually control that kind of volume of water. And also, he remembers something that Toshiro had told him, which was that Toniko's wolf uses the surrounding environment, clads itself in the surrounding environment, and repels contact. So if you were to use water, Garo realizes it'll just turn the water into its own weapon. Which is interesting to say that the wolf uses the environment to do stuff that way, because it does seem to kind of remind me of the wind user stuff that Toniko was, and Toniko did say that she would think about going for a wind user as her mate, if not Garo. So, Anyway, lightning arrow, lightning arrow, lightning arrow. Garo is just running away, and then Toniko shoots a black lightning arrow at him, which unleashes Thunderbolt Godwolf, which is my favorite new Yu-Gi-Oh card. Blasts across the arena, parting the seas in its wake, and Garo basically was only just able to get out of the way, and even then it singed his back badly. So now he is collapsed as Toniko approaches, pauses to give her Wolfie a little brush because she's a good pet owner like that.
I like that she had that brush somewhere or like available and at hand as well. Yes. I don't see a lot of pockets in that dress. That just shows her commitment to making sure that she always has a brush on hand.
Absolutely. Approaches Garo. Kinosaki, of course, is really worried. But then Garo bites his lip, staggers up to his feet, and the welts on his back start to rapidly heal. And he thinks to himself, I've been waiting for this, Toniko. And he bursts off in a sudden sprint. Enhanced beeline, sprinting leg power, toxin blaze. And Garo's like, this is my opening. Toniko's wolf is currently in a discharged state. This is my chance to strike. Using the new weapon I seized in the depths of despair, my own original toxin. And he's got his arm extended to try and attack the wolf.
Yes. All right. Exciting stuff.
Yeah, not a lot to say about this chapter, but pretty good action sequence.
Yeah. Cool move that the wolf did where it like parted the ocean. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right, we have new Exorcist, Nick.
Chapter
142.
The Dragon King.
You love dragons and kings, Nick. You'll love this chapter.
And will I? So, we were told all about the Kurikara Black Dragon Sword last chapter and how Kurikara have been consumed by this guy. And so Gekka is like, oh man, if I use my hollow weapon against the Black Dragon Sword, it'll break. So that's difficult. Oh well, not that that's my problem. Gakuro is the only one who can take down the Hyo, but he won't be here for a bit. I've got to make sure that Gakuro can get here after everyone's evacuated. All I gotta do is keep this guy pinned until Gakuro shows up. But then he lifts the sword, so she has to run away, dodge, smash. A wall of air gets knocked towards Gekka as well, but she deflects it with her own hollow weapon. Then she tries to punch the guy. Then she uses Xenoblade, dashing around, kick, slash, block into a kick. And then he does a kick that she blocks and knocks her back. And then he tries to smash her with the Dragon Blade, and then the barrier bursts apart as Gakuro arrives, and he manages to use Xenoblade to rescue Gekka at the very last second. And he's like, sorry I took so long!
Now wait, who is that? That's not Gakuro, right?
Gakuro. Are you sure?
He looks so much dumber than usual, though. Has he always had that stupid, like... I don't know if it's supposed to be he's not wearing a shirt or if he just has like a white shirt.
It's his current form. He goes through 3 of these an arc, Quinn.
That is true. I never actually know what his like distinct design is supposed to be at any given point in time. So I guess that makes sense. He just looks twinkier and doofier than usual.
They're twinky and they're doofy. They're all together goofy.
That's very good.
So, hang on. Is the black streak in the right place on him? Look at the black streak move to the other side of his hair. What the fuck? Yeah, so they got everyone evacuated. So thanks for buying everyone time, Gekka. Anyway, so trash talking. Gekka says, I'm going to hit you with everything I've got from now on. And then she says, let's go, Gakuro. And she releases her hollow weapon, White Command. And then she says, bear witness, here comes the third Hyo with death on his back. The friend who's got my back can kill immortals. Okay, so there was a lot of fighting in this chapter, and it was okay.
Yeah, it's rough when you build up a character in such a way that you're like, if you ever get struck by a sword, it'll obliterate you into oblivion because it's so strong and all that. Like, that kind of creates a sense that you're like, oh, well, characters are going to have to dodge it. And I don't know, this isn't the best action series when it comes to art. It's not always, like, the most easy to interpret. So I think for the most part, it's fine. But it's not really too exciting of a scene.
There are 7 allies back at the tower that Gakuro left from. All right. Akane-banashi story 203 session. Akane, of course, is performing her God of Death routine, and we know that Roku, of course, is following it via the stream. And so she's trying to find her way to the core of the craftsman style. We get the exchange between the man and the God of Death, where the God of Death encouraged him to become a doctor in order to get money, with the advice of, hey, look, when sick and long suffering have a God of Death at their bedside, when they sit by the pillow, their time is up. Leave them alone. But if they stand at the patient's feet, you can chant this magic spell, Adraka Mokuren Kyuraisu Tekeretsu no Pa, which we actually see in the cover page, Akane practicing that specific part of the story as she's just kind of walking about her day. Which, yeah, that makes sense. She just is constantly practicing, basically.
Yeah.
And there is what seems like a very ominous moment as the God of Death advises this and says, if you say this, if you clap your hands twice, the God of Death will vanish. The illness will be cured. And then we get a random passerby in the story coming up to the man, realize oh, I heard that you can cure someone. And they say oh, where'd you hear that from? It's oh, there was a fortune teller whose accuracy is regarded very highly, but it was a very strange person, like an eerie little child resting on a branch as though it were a walking stick. And then even in the moment where Akane is performing, she realizes how tense everything in the performance hall is. And she realizes, oh, the eeriness of this moment is actually winning out more with the people than I thought. And there is an odd moment where a spectral being appears behind Akane and whispers along with her as she performs the story. And so, she goes into a little joke moment of oh man, that God of Death really knows his stuff. Oh, sorry, I was just talking to myself, and so it gets a little laugh out of it, breaks the tension. But Hikaru and Rokuro both realize something has happened. Only Rokuro realizes what has happened in full. And he says the variety of interpretations and unexpected reactions will rattle the actor's outlook. And so we see from Akane's perspective, she has this idea of what she wants to do, the right answer in her mind, and it's fading, and it's being blurted out by this new outlook that she has, and it's leaving her behind. And Akane thinks the role is talking on its own. It's like, I'm not myself. And so she starts to get worked up the same way that we've seen her get worked up, like when she fell into the world of Rakugo and saw all the connections between the stories and everything. So her acting gets livelier. And Rokuro explains that, look, Rakugo is stage art. It is the product of a theater with an audience. It relies on the mood in the room resonating and mingling for that day only. And to him, it's like Akane is, doing a sax solo, doing a jazz session. He says it's a unique, one-of-a-kind session. And Akane is built for this. Rather than a reliable method that guarantees 95 points, she takes a risk and shoots for 120 points instead. And at that moment, the feeling just comes over Akane. And she's like, it's happened to me before, separate points joining into lines. And then the next moment, she is floating over the world of Rakugo again.
She herself even looks to be drawn in an old kind of style as well.
Yeah. Which, of course, sometimes when this has happened to Akane, she's, kind of come out on the bad end of it because she hasn't, gotten control of the performance. She's gotten too carried away. Could very well be that is what causes her to lose the dual duet in this case, is that she's not fully mastering this technique, maybe.
I'm interested to see where this goes because I don't think we've quite seen her God of Death yet that suggested, like the one that Shomei like passed was like, absolutely, you've gotten it, go for it. I don't think we've seen that quite yet. So I have to imagine this is still part of that plan, but maybe the connection she has right now is potentially getting away from her because she is facing that uncertainty of like, oh, everyone's kind of having a different reaction to my story, which, you know, we brought up last week, would be like, that'd be pretty distracting, I feel like, as a performer. Yeah. I am excited to see how Akane kind of navigates this space. I don't know if a story like God of Death is necessarily one that really plays well with fan service from other stories implemented into it. But I am excited to see how she takes it. I think this ending visual, this big giant 2-page spread is like a really awesome place to kind of leave it off. And yeah, I guess I just want to see what she's doing. However, I won't tolerate the Shomei slander where they're like, some people would just settle for a safe 95 points. I'm like, that 95 points gets dinner on the table, god damn it!
Yeah, you don't get like extra A's for having 120 points. Yeah. So it doesn't actually like, you know, boost your GPA or anything like that. So come on.
Yeah, just take the safe A, god damn it. That's what I'm taking.
Safe solid A too. Yeah. 95 is a good A.
That's a great A. I'd kill for that A, Nick. Goddamn quadratic equation. All right, Nick, let's wrap up this week of manga by talking about One Piece, chapter 1180, Omen. That was a little bit of a big chapter last time, which was, hey, hey, guys, look who showed up. It's Emu. We were introduced to him. He was the founder of one of the 12 original nations that formed up the world government, and he was listed as having the power, quote, the devil's fruit. We don't quite know exactly what that means, but he's here. He's more devilish than I expected. Also, a little fruitier than I imagined as well. He's got a lot of...
Okay.
he's got a little bit of a je ne sais quoi that suggests he might swing for the other team. I don't know. He's also big. It's tough to tell in this panel, but we later see him like sized up against other characters, and he's another one of those like gigantic One Piece characters. So yeah, interesting stuff there. He's got a unique design. He's covered in dots or balls. I don't know. Seems like it'd be really irritating to have to animate. So.
All right. Enough judgment, Quinn. Covered in balls. All right.
And he basically shows up and immediately is like, hey, who's the king of this land? And they're like, this land has no king. And Emu looks over and sees Summers currently being held by Gerd. Or Magerd. And Summers starts dropping as all of Gerd's fingers tips have been cut off. And in a very interesting move, she doesn't even like have the ability to react in like pain or horror. She's in pure disbelief watching it happen.
It's like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, this dude somehow cut off her fingers without looking like he even swung anything. Zoro stands in the way because he's like, hey, are you in the Knights of the God too? Haruden tries to attack and Stenson has to stop him from getting cut in half and loses his foot as a result. Like, just gets bisected at the knee. And Zoro's like, all right, I guess I'll have to be the one to fight this guy. Goes for a 3-sword style and gets blocked. And then Emu just says Omen and just flame appears in his hand and sends Zoro flying. Just absolutely clowns him the other direction. Does the same thing as well with Haruden, but he's not one of the Straw Hats, so no one cares about that as much.
Haruden just kind of like falls over when that happens.
Yeah. Not Haruden. Emu gives a thing Omen. He says it again and gives it to Summers, and Summers starts to be like, oh yes, Omen, you've made me so much more powerful. And he is told to make haste, there is little time. And he goes off, basically. They are basically like, all right, so get Zoro inside, everyone else gather up the injured and the knocked out kids. A warning goes out to all of Elbath to be like, hey, something showed up that's greater than even the Knights of God, so be on guard. And everyone's like, God, this day sucks. This blows. This blows so much. We see Imu fly past where Gunko has been frozen solid, and he just kind of shoots like a bomb out of his...
you out.
Yeah.
Kaboom!
Yeah, he's just like, gotcha, dunk, and like grenade launchers her, basically. We presume she's fine. We don't see, because he keeps on flying. We cut over to Gabon, who's like, ooh, even at God Valley, I never felt anything like this. This is really, really bad. Cut over to Loki and Luffy, who are basically just eating as much as they can, as fast as they can. Cut over to the Straw Hats, who are like, hey, we don't know what's going on, but this hockey is incredible. Sanji decides he will be the one to intervene next, and actually seems to pull up slightly more of a fight than Zoro. Not to say it's better, because he also just gets clowned immediately, but he had to use his foot this time. He didn't just go Omen. So all of us fiendish Sanji fans needed something to hold on to there. And I just had to check something real quick. Oh, I think our stream may have went down. I don't know.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Well, this recording is still going on. That's a good thing. So Sanji gets knocked away. Imu says, I searched for the killer of my faithful servant who was slain here 14 years past. And then he was told, he was not your servant. Harold was my father, the king of Elbath, and I'm the man you're looking for, and it is Loki. So we end the chapter with Loki standing on the, looming over top of him, and he says, "Here in the real world, you deal with me and Elbath. Remember that, clown."
It's a cool ass entrance. I love the moment of him saying, "It's like, hey, Haral was not your servant. I'm gonna kill you now."
Yeah. This probably isn't going to go super well for Loki.
Probably not.
He's so big, and this dude can cut things apart so easily. But they have a really good doctor nearby called Chopper. Not Gerd. She can't be a doctor anymore. She lost her fingertips, which I think are important as a doctor. Kind of
important, yes.
But maybe Chopper can fix those, and that way prove he's the best doctor.
You just need to have some tape.
Yeah, just tape up those fingertips. Yeah, crazy stuff. Emu looks very, very powerful. I think I would be super duper on board with this if this arc were as a whole more engaging for me. But I also think that this is probably like many arcs in One Piece past. This arc might read a lot better when you read it in one giant chunk as opposed to week to week. Sometimes not even week to week. So I think that probably plays a factor into it. I will probably enjoy this more in like a, full, like, read in one chunk kind of thing.
That plus also knowing when the flashback's going to end might help.
Yeah, being able to be like, I don't need to read this whole thing. I can kind of skip around.
Well, but yeah, the page of Loki coming back into the battlefield is good. I like that we're going to see him get at least a shot in on Emu. And presumably while Luffy's just, eating until he comes back to get everybody out of this.
Yeah.
I am wondering what the 3 previously defeated foes are going to be able to do, especially now that Zoro and Sanji are currently down for the count.
I don't know if they're supposed to be down for the count. I think they're supposed to be like indisposed of for the moment, but I would not be shocked if both of those characters ended up dealing with one of these threats each.
Possibly. But yeah, that means we do have to get everyone like kind of dealt with all over again. Now that Emu has not only freed them, but also given them power-ups.
Yes.
So
we have to deal with more Summers now.
Yep. Aren't you excited?
I mean, I am excited. I do kind of have like a soft spot for Summers. He's such an asshole. You gotta appreciate that kind of hater,
Yeah. And in terms of like this being the first time we got to see Emu directly do something, because we've seen Emu show up in all sorts of different forms before, but they're kind of like acting through other people's bodies. The fact that he doesn't even do anything that's like super, super scary. It's just that he does it so effortlessly.
Yeah.
That is really big. And the fact that he deals with, of course, Zoro and Sanji means a lot in that regard.
Yes.
So yeah, this was a pretty good introduction for Emu as a full foe physically, and I guess we'll see where things go the next chapter. But Quinn, what would you say your favorite chapter was this week?
Great question, Nick. I'm going to say that my favorite chapter this week, if I really think about it, I think was Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi. I really enjoyed the fight. I enjoyed the combat. I enjoyed how it looked by the end. It was a cool little fight, and I really dug it.
Yeah, can't disagree with you there. It was very very solid chapter all the way through. Really good action. Paced out well as with Kyoshi's allies coming back in and stuff. And also just like a lot of really satisfying like layouts for how some of the blows were done. Everything that felt like it should have been a big moment did feel like a big moment. The cross counter and then all the shots of the exchange after that. Really, really well done in terms of like making you feel like this is an intense fight while also letting you appreciate some of the cooler stuff in it.
Yes. My MVP, I think I'm going to give to Emu. I was trying to think if there was anyone else who like stood out more, and there's a couple people, but I don't think they stood out as much as Emu did this week. We may not know necessarily what everything about him we found out means. I don't know what it means that his power is the devil's fruit or what this omen thing does. I know people have theories, but I think he looked cool if if you're going to try to build up a villain, having him, clown on your two strong, like the other two strongest characters in the Straw Hats is a good way to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You took my points all right there. I think
sorry.
I gotta go with Emu as well. I can't disagree on that. It didn't feel like there were a lot of characters that had very big standout weeks this week. In general, I don't think that there were a lot of incredible chapters this week. But yeah.
The audience, by the way,
unless I change my mind and just go for Fujimine, and maybe if I do that, maybe she'll change her ways and want to be a good person instead.
Maybe she'll give me a shot. We'll hang out a little bit. The audience, by the way, picked Akane-banashi as the chapter of the week, and Tanako,
a good chapter,
from Marriagetoxin as the character of the week, which you said she had a very cool attack.
She had lightning arrows and stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
All right, that's gonna do it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Sorry for the connection issues on the stream, but we hope that you guys were able to catch up with the recording afterward. We do streams on twitch.tv/RoloT Tuesdays, currently at around 7:30 to 8 Eastern Time. And we are also on like youtube.com/weekly manga recap. We are on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com. We're on iTunes. We're on Spotify, all the podcast feed places for recordings afterwards. If you want to know when the streams go live, we are on BlueSky, RoloT, Nick F Time, Weekly Manga Recap, and also WMR votes for the audience polls on favorite chapter and MVP. If you want to know when that is available, follow that account as well, BlueSky. Ninja conducts the polls, does a lot of tracking of stuff via the Google Doc, which is linked through the Discord, which is going to be posted wherever this is wherever the podcast is posted. There will be a link to it below. We are also on Patreon, patreon.com/weekly manga recap, if you want to help financially support the show and also get bonus content. We also want to extend thanks to Milo Jack Stillitz and Bree Cheddar for creating the YouTube opening sequence animation for the show, and to Steve Man, who we occasionally have title cards from on the YouTube version of the show.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Nick, we teased it earlier. I do want to reveal the final lineup of my American Avengers team that we've assembled together. As mentioned earlier, obviously, of course, we have Clifford the Big Red Dog in there. He's kind of like our Thor, he's very big and very powerful.
Kind of slow.
Yeah, kind of slow. Has a weird way of speaking in that he doesn't as a dog. So
he does.
In this version, he doesn't. Joe Rogan, as mentioned previously, he's kind of our Hawkeye of the group, in that he doesn't really...
I'm okay with that. Yeah,
he doesn't really do a whole lot. Bruce Springsteen, that's kind of our Tony Stark, born in the USA, all that. Gemini from American Gladiators is in there. Oh. He is, of course, our Captain America analog, because what is Captain America if not an American Gladiator? We have Joey Chestnut in there. Gotta get the American heroes in there. He is, of course, which one do we have left? Black Widow. And then rounding out our team is American McGee, the guy who made the Alice games, whose name just happens to be American, I believe. And I guess by default that makes him our Thor, or no, Hulk.
Hulk,
we could have two Thors, actually. And finally, actually really rounding out this team is Hulk Hogan's theme song is going to be personified and made into a member of the group. So check it out.
They can be the Phil Coulson of the team.
Yes, they're the one who dies. They kill Hulk Hogan's theme song halfway through the movie because this is just straight up a ripoff of the original Avengers movie, and that brings the team together at that point. Except they all do kill Joe Rogan by the end and replace him with a different man show host. Who's my picks? I've got Adam Carolla. That's worse.
That's worse.
Jimmy Kimmel. And then Doug Stanhope?
Better. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I guess it's Jimmy Kimmel. So
by default,
someone's got to represent American Nightlife. Except that might be American McGee. I haven't played all those games. I don't know. All right.
Well, thank you for telling us who we are leaving our fate to, Quinn. But yeah, we'll be back next week, everybody. Thank you for listening to Weekly Manga Recap. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.